Hello, good morning, good night, good evening, whenever you are listening to this podcast. I am Nicoz Balboa and this is Balboa Park. I am a trans man, I'm Italian, and I'm living in France for more than 20 years. I have a teen daughter and I'm a mom. I'm a tattoo artist and I do graphic novels in Italy and in France. And in this podcast, I want to talk about the creative process as a way to self-knowledge. Welcome, episode 70. I still don't have a jingle, and I'm assuming that even if I'm not using this is the first season of this podcast, and maybe next year I will manage to record a jingle or make some friends doing a jingle, or I don't know. For now, no jingle, just me talking in my own podcast studio, which is my bed. And of course, my podcast outfit is wearing a pajama or a tracksuit. And I'm joking about this, but I've already talked about it. I feel very good when I have to create, to be in a comfortable outfit. Even though those days I knew record the podcast always around Monday or Tuesday. Today I say to myself, I must record the podcast. And I have to tell, it was very hard to concentrate, to put myself in the state of mind of being here and express myself and having an outward energy. And so I was, okay, maybe I can talk about this. It's something I often talk, so maybe pardon me if I already say this, but I firmly believe that we can't always be productive and be creative and be outward and be connected to our source inner creative energy and then go out in the world with our art or our words, for example, in the case of this podcast. Sometimes there are moments that we feel that we must stay silent and maybe turn our eyes and our thoughts inward. And I always use this analogy. I don't remember if I read it somewhere. I've been using this image in my mind to make sense since forever. So pardon me if it's not from me, and if you can tell me who said it before me, I'm very interested in this. Anyway, it's creativity, I always say, is like breathing. You can't always be exhaling. You must inhale sometimes in order to survive and to being able to continue exhaling. It's a circle, it's a, how do you say, it's a process. It's inhale, exhale. I guess that those days I'm more in the inhaling process. Even though I've been very active, I finally turned Strangeland, as I was saying the other day, I guess. I turned Strangeland into a charity with the help of my partner and my friend, and we turned Strangeland into this association, in this charity, so that we can create art class and exhibitions and all these for the LGBT community, but also for allies and also for other people that want to use the artistic process as a way of feeling good. I'm very happy. I went through this period of grieving the fact that I'm not an entrepreneur, and I felt some kind of failure, and I was like, oh, I'm not the winner type. But I processed this and I own it, and now I'm very, very happy, and I can't wait to do things to make this association, this charity alive. And so it was a very active week, but you know that I'm writing and drawing and sketching my next book. So what I want to do is like telling my story and my view around masculinity and what does masculinity mean for me and how does it change, how my life has changed since my gender transition. And I don't want to be all alone in telling this story, and I want to use trans masculine people's stories to come with me into this journey of storytelling. I know storytelling is a very strange, presumptuous word. I guess that you can use this word maybe if you are maybe Neil Gaiman or, but anyway, pardon me for using this word. And so the other day I was rereading the selection of the journal from Lou Sullivan. And if you don't know Lou Sullivan, I will put some link in the show notes. Lou Sullivan was, as we know, the first known trans man who identified as a gay man. So in the 70s, he got a lot of difficulties to start his transition, because when he went to the medical profession and they say, you are a woman, you want to have sex with men, so why you want to transition? I'm doing it like, this is a very shortcut, but and he stood up for himself and actually helped society understand that gender identity and sexual preferences are not the same. And he was so involved, and he made newsletter and papers around transmasculine help, and it was very cool. And for his whole life he kept a journal. And so there, I probably already talked about this, but or maybe not. I talk about Lou Sullivan so much that I'm afraid that as we say in France, it's like that I'm red hot, that when somebody, especially we, the old peoples, we always say the same things, but who cares? There is this book that is called, and we both laughed in pleasure, that is published by Night Book, and it's a selection of his diaries. And the other days I was reading and I was sketching, and in a moment I wanted to see to he's from the Wisconsin to Milwaukee. I hope I pronounce it well. And I've never been there. Don't even know how, where is it. So in a moment I went to Google and I tapped Milwaukee and Wisconsin and his birth town and all those places to see the architecture, the nature, the position on a map. And I got so sad because I felt so frustrated and so powerless, because I was like, oh, I wish I would be like, I was about to say a real writer, or, but maybe it was like, most like, I wish I would have real means to build up a research phase for a book, and not having to go on Google Image, but I would like to be able to book a flight and say, okay, bye, I'm going in Wisconsin, just to sketch houses and lakesides or something like this. Don't even thinking about the fact that my papers aren't up to date, so I'm not sure that I would be able to travel, because there is a picture on my paper that is not the picture that guards will see when I cross the borders. But this is a problem for a future me, because now I can't cope with paperwork anyway. But anyway, I was getting so sad, and I was like, I would like to go there, and then I would like to go to these archives in San Francisco, the GLBT historical society, to maybe look at the Lou Sullivan journals and see pictures and get this connection before starting drawing. And I was so sad, and I was about to put myself in a position of being like desperate and powerless. And then I pick up the book, and I remember that the book, the Lou Sullivan diaries, have been selected to turn them into one single book from these two people, two transmasculine people called Zach Oldsma and Ellis Martin. And I remember, since I read the Lou Sullivan book since the first time, I remember that I follow these two people on Instagram, and Zach Oldsma is a poet but also an artist, and Ellis Martin is actually one person that worked for digitalizing the queer history documents and work with the GLBT Historical Society. So I dried my tears and I take the courage, and I sent an email to these two amazing humans. And Ellis Martin answered me and gave me a lot of tips and sent me the Lou Sullivan bibliography that it's actually readable, and also hooked me with somebody in the research department, in the archive department of the GLBT Historical Society. And so I was able to access a digitalization of Lou Sullivan documents in order for me to continue my work. And so I've spent those last days so happy and so afraid to start going through all the stuff I started, but it's some kind of overwhelming, because I guess I'm not a scholar, I'm not an intellectual, I'm not somebody who knows how to approach archives and uh, studying university matter. And so I'm not moving with my brain. I'm moving with my guts and with my emotion. So every time I click on a folder and I open a digital box from Lou Sullivan, it it's it's too much, and it's not too much, but it's like it's a lot, and it's beautiful, and it's also overwhelming. So I want to share this with you. In this moment, I'm taking all this in. So I guess that I'm not able to tell you what is doing for me, in which way I'm proceeding to continue my work, because for now I'm just like, okay, I've stopped sketching, I stopped drawing, and I'm just reading and seeing and watching. And I'm so grateful for internet and to have a computer, because I wouldn't be able to do this if maybe one day I will be able to travel there, but for now this is perfect. And it felt nice to dare to reach out to some other people and just ask. When the answer is positive, it's even better, of course. This was my week. Strangeland is a charity. Lou Sullivan is in my Google Drive. And the researching for my book is continuing. And one other things I did this week before we say goodbye was like starting a new format for my graphic journal club. I give those classes on Zoom. People can subscribe through my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/graphic journal club. And every second Sunday of the month, we have this graphic journal class, which is more like a workshop, 2 hours workshop, in which we work on drawing and we work on emotion and all this kind of stuff. And then now, since January, I had this new gathering on Zoom, because I like to gather on Zoom with the graphic journal Maniacs. It will be every last Sunday of the month. And at the beginning, I was thinking, okay, maybe it just can be like a draw together meeting on Zoom. There is no class, so we just meet and everybody draw what they want. But I wasn't sure, and I was thinking maybe what I can do is like giving just one prompt, and I wasn't sure. And then these very strange and serendipity things happened. For the whole month of January, I was giving prompts for doing one page a day, one graphic journaling page a day, and it happened on the Patreon page, of course, and in the Graphic Journal Club Facebook group. I started putting down prompts since the beginning of January, and then all the prompts were down even before the beginning of the challenge, the Graphic January challenge. But I put them like tidy in words into actual prompts every maybe 3 days. Every 3 days, I program 3 posts in my Patreon and on the Facebook group. And the other day, I was about to programming the 26th, 27th, and 28th of the month. And 28th of the month was Sunday, and it was actually the date we had this draw together on Zoom programmed. And in my prompt list, there were sunset. It was just a word, sunset. And so when I was about preparing the prompt and writing them down in a nice infographic and everything, I thought, maybe what can be fun that the sunset, it's a prompt in which we observe the sunset and we draw it on our graphic journal. So instead of doing our page in the morning, as maybe we usually everybody do, I can tell to people, today you're going to wait until sunset before doing your page. And then I looked, and it was 28, and it was the Sunday, and we had the graphic journal draw together program for about the time of the sunset. And so I was like, oh my serendipity. And so I said, okay, this is the prompt, sunset, and maybe you can take a picture of the sunset, or maybe you can think about the sunset, and then we will gather together and we will draw the sunset. And so what happened was like the meeting, the class, or the draw together was programmed for 1 hour. So what we do was like drawing. We started with a very small meditation, or not even a meditation, was like breathing exercise. And then for 20 minutes we drew, and then we have a pause for 2 minutes, we journal, and then we continue our drawing for again 20 minutes, and then we pause and we journal, and then we exchange. And it was about the sunset, and it was about the symbol of what meant for us, what we just drew, and what we were about to experience. We set the intention for this very same night, and it was a very, very, very cool experience. And when we finished, my partner say, oh, it was so beautiful to see all those introverts like staying there with music and drawings all together, but not actually together. Because the graphic journal class, we talk, and at least I talk a lot. We have prompts and different exercises, but in this case, it was like we have this hour for drawing just one page, one drawing, and then maybe, yes, we had the prompts and the questions, but it was way less talking. And so when they said, it was so beautiful seeing all those introverts, I had the idea of calling this new format of Graphic Journal Club the introvert session. So every last Sunday of the month on Zoom, we will gather together for the introvert session. I guess it's beautiful. It's a beautiful name. If you want to try it, the best thing is to go on patreon.com/graphic journal club, or you can maybe on my website there is also a page about Graphic Journal Club, and my website it's always nicozbalboastudio.com. This was my week so far. I hope that your week was cool, and I hope that listening me babbling about what I do in my creative life, I hope it's inspiring for you, or it gives you idea. And if you want to react or interact, reach out to me. You can come on Substack, or you can subscribe to my newsletter on Substack if it's not already done, or you can find me on social media or on the Graphic Journal Club Facebook group. Anyway, it's modern times, so I guess that there are many ways to interact. That's all for today. I love you. Thank you for listening. And please, if you enjoy this podcast, you can do two things. Give it 5 stars and rate it in whichever platform are you listening it to. And also maybe you can share it on your social media, and maybe so you can make it arrive to other art passionate, inner work passionate like me and like you. I talk to you next week. Bye bye.